Ah, the wildest part isn't that they don't clap for you. The wildest part is how fast the air leaves the room the second your name comes up. One message, one tiny notification, one, "Yo, you seen what they're doing now?" dropped in that group chat, and everything goes dead. Typing bubbles disappear, jokes stop mid-sentence. People who were just sending memes for 2 hours straight suddenly discover do not disturb. You didn't walk into the room, you didn't say anything, you didn't defend yourself. All you did was exist loudly enough that somebody mentioned you, and every insecure nervous system in that thread went offline at the same time. That's the level of quiet power you're dealing with now. You don't even have to be present to rearrange people's moods. Your winds are sending out shockwaves in places you haven't stepped into for months. Understand something. People don't go silent over nobodies. Group chats don't freeze over people who are stuck where they left them. Silence is a luxury reserved for threats. When your name drops and everyone suddenly has to go, that's not coincidence, that's impact. Somewhere in that chat, somebody pulled up your page, your work, your progress, and realized what nobody wanted to admit out loud. You're actually winning, not just posting, not just talking, not just hinting, actually moving in a way that can't be laughed off anymore. And the second that realization lands, their little digital safe space turns into a crime scene. Because now they all have to confront the exact thing they promised each other would never happen. You outgrowing the storyline they wrote for you behind your back. Look closely at the pattern. They loved you as a subplot. You were easy content when you were confused, over-explaining, half-stepping. Your mistakes were entertainment. Your doubts were discussion topics. Your failures were free team-building exercises. They bonded over your almost. They sharpened their self-esteem on your less than. But then something shifted. You stopped narrating your every move. You stopped showing them the drafts. You stopped softening your edges to make your growth palatable. And instead of spiraling, you stabilized. Instead of begging for validation, you built your own metrics. You chose discipline over drama. You chose distance over proving yourself. That's when the group chat had to pivot from, "Yo, look at this," to, "Wait, how did they pull this off?" And no one wants to be the first to admit that the person they counted out is now lapping them quietly. This is where the real psychology starts. Every time someone drops your progress into that chat, your new routine, your new circle, your new mindset, your new results, it doesn't just land as news, it lands as accusation. Your growth exposes everything they refuse to do with their own potential. Your stamina highlights their laziness. Your consistency exposes their excuses. Your healing calls out their refusal to face their own wounds. You turned into a walking mirror they didn't consent to look into, and every screenshot of your success is a reflection they can't escape. That's why messages dry up. That's why the energy suddenly shifts. They're not just reacting to you. They're reacting to what you reveal about them. And when group chats stop being fun, people look for somewhere else to dump the discomfort. Enter the about $800 therapist, because make no mistake, they're not just casually annoyed. They're actually distressed about you. There is someone out there, sitting in a climate-controlled office, swiping their card for $150 a session, just to process the fact that you refused to stay where they placed you. They're laying on that couch talking about this one person they can't stop thinking about. And the therapist is nodding, thinking it's an ex, a parent, some tragic love story, only to find out the villain in their narrative is literally you, minding your business and winning. Your progress has become somebody's clinical case study in inability to cope. Picture it. They walk in every week like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just keep checking their page. It's like every time I open my phone, they've hit another milestone. New job, new body, new mindset, new people around them. They look different, happier, stronger, and it makes me sick. They won't say jealous. They won't say threatened. They'll use softer words like triggered, confused, concerned. But underneath all that language, the core issue is simple. You refuse to crumble the way they predicted, and now their entire emotional ecosystem is malfunctioning. They built a version of you in their head that doesn't exist anymore, and they don't know how to reconcile their fantasy with your reality. Here's the part their therapist is too professional to say. What's eating them alive isn't your success itself. It's the fact that you did it without their permission, without their applause, and without their participation. You upgraded your life without using them as a reference. You healed without giving them the satisfaction of a front row seat. You evolved without delivering a monologue explaining how much they hurt you. That's what's frying their circuits. They weren't just expecting you to fail. They were expecting to be the audience and the narrator of your failure. And now that you've rewritten your story, they don't have a role anymore. No villain, no victim, no savior. Just an extra. Watching the main character do what they said was impossible. This is why the therapist taps the pen, leans forward, and starts asking questions like, what do you feel when you see their progress? Because what they're really diagnosing is obsession disguised as concern. It's not, I hope they're okay. It's, why are they okay without me? It's not, I'm worried they've changed. It's, how dare they change while I stayed the same? Meanwhile, you're somewhere else, not even thinking about them, planning your next move, upgrading your habits, and minding your own sanity. The emotional imbalance is insane. One person paying $1,800 a month to replay old versions of you in their head, while the real you has already exited that storyline and is busy building the life that was always meant for you. Now here's the plot twist. Do you know who's actually in danger in that room? Not you, the therapist. Because even they have a limit. There comes a point where a professional gets tired of being paid to watch someone refuse accountability for their own stagnation. Session after session, your name comes up, your progress comes up, your energy comes up, and every route back to self-reflection gets dodged. No, I don't think they're the problem. Let's go back to what you can control. But they don't want to hear that. They want a diagnosis that makes you the villain and them the victim of your glow-up. They want a label that justifies their resentment. They want permission to keep resenting somebody who literally just got tired of suffering and chose better. At some point, even the therapist realizes this isn't about you at all. This is about their addiction to staying small. So imagine the day that therapist snaps. Not loudly, not dramatically, but internally. The moment they realize, I'm not getting paid enough to sit here and listen to you obsess over someone who's living their life. That's the quiet resignation, not from the job, but from the case. They may keep showing up, but emotionally, they've checked out. Because they know the truth. If your existence is causing this much chaos in someone who claims to be over you, you're not the problem. They're avoiding their own reflection. That's the moment the therapist spiritually quits. And trust, that resignation is louder than any group chat silence, because it marks the line where even a professional says, I can't help you until you stop using this person's success as your favorite excuse. You have to see the size of the ripple you're creating. People are rearranging their entire emotional budget around you. They'll say, "It's not that deep," but their screen time reports disagree. They'll say, "I don't care what they're doing," but their search history betrays them. They'll insist, "We don't talk about them like that," but those dead group chats tell a different story. People don't invest time, energy, and money into something that doesn't affect them. You are affecting them. Your boundaries are affecting them. Your no contact is affecting them. Your refusal to play the old role is affecting them. The fact that you are not collapsing on schedule is messing with their entire identity structure. And here's the part you need to tattoo onto your mindset. Their discomfort is not your problem to solve. Their group chat going silent is not an invitation for you to shrink so they can feel comfortable speaking again. Their therapy bills are not a sign from the universe that you need to dim your progress to help them adjust. You are not responsible for regulating nervous systems that only felt stable when you were losing. If your healing destabilizes them, that speaks to the fragility of their foundation, not the danger of your growth. You choosing yourself is not an act of violence. It just feels violent to people who relied on your self-betrayal to feel powerful. What you're witnessing now is spiritual reorganization. The universe is quietly exposing who only liked you when you were breakable, available, and easy to read. The ones who can celebrate you in this season are the ones who never needed you small to feel big. The ones who disappear, who go quiet, who ghost the chat when your name comes up. Those are the ones who were never clapping in the first place. They were just waiting for evidence that you'd fail so they could say, "See, told you." Instead, the evidence is stacking in the opposite direction. Every day, you collect more proof that you're not going back. More proof that your standards weren't too much. They were simply incompatible with their comfort. More proof that you were never the weak link. You were the threat disguised as the underdog. And the more that truth settles, the calmer you become. You start to understand that you don't need to clear your name in rooms you no longer sit in. You don't need to correct narratives built in chats you'll never see. You don't need to argue with projections you didn't consent to wear. Your life is becoming the loudest rebuttal. Every boundary, every upgrade, every silent win is a new data point that contradicts the version of you they circulate for comfort. You are not obligated to stay accessible to people who only reach for you when they need a reason to feel superior. That era is done. The access they had was a privilege and not a right, and the universe revoked it when you finally chose yourself over their comfort. So now the question shifts from, "Why don't they support me?" to something far more powerful. What am I going to do with this freedom they accidentally gave me? Because that's what their silence is, a release form. The group chats that died when your name came up. Those were doors closing so you could hear your own thoughts without their static. The therapist who mentally clocked out while they cried about you. That's the universe redirecting energetic attention back where it belongs, on you, not on their obsession. You're not here to babysit their insecurities. You're here to see how far your life can stretch when you stop anchoring yourself to people who only felt safe when you were stuck. And this is only the opening frame of what your life does once you stop apologizing for how far you can go. Because the moment you stop asking, "Why are they like this?" and start asking, "What am I building now that they're out of the way?" something very subtle and very dangerous happens. You stop orbiting them. Emotional gravity breaks. They're no longer the axis your decisions spin around. Their opinions become background noise instead of commandments. The second you really internalize that their group chat going dead is not a rejection, but a clearance, your energy shifts from analysis to execution. You stop mentally replaying who left you on read. You start asking, what happens if I actually commit to the version of me that scares them this much already? That's the real threat, not the success you've already manifested, the success you haven't even fully aimed at yet. Look at the map now. On one side, there's a whole thread of people who cannot speak when your name is in the air. On the other, there's you, with time, with space, with quiet, with clean emotional bandwidth that used to be cluttered with their nonsense. You're not locked out. You've been escorted out of a low-ceiling room. And what do people with that kind of forced solitude do when they're no longer trying to prove anything to the gallery? They build strange, terrifying levels of focus. You start doing the boring things nobody in that group chat has the nervous system to tolerate. You read instead of refresh. You practice instead of perform. You stack small, unglamorous habits that don't look legendary in the moment, but compound into the kind of life that turns their casual gossip into a chronic condition. This is where the gap widens. While they're staring at screens, waiting for someone else to speak first, so they don't have to admit what they're feeling, you're quietly becoming unrecognizable. You're reorganizing your mornings. You're cleaning your environments. You're putting your phone across the room when you work. You're saying no to conversations that drain you before they even start. Every micro-boundary you enforce is you stepping 1 foot further out of the old narrative. And every step you take away from that story forces them to either evolve or watch in horror. As you keep winning from a distance, they can no longer bridge with a single message. Meanwhile, their internal storm doesn't calm just because the chat went quiet. They carry that tension everywhere. It follows them into work, into their relationships, into their sleep. They wake up, open their phone out of habit, and there you are again, showing up in some new way that contradicts the story they sold themselves. They tell people, we don't care what they're doing, and then spend the next hour doom-scrolling your progress. That dissonance builds. Their nervous system can't keep holding the weight of pretending you're irrelevant while their body reacts to everything you do like a threat. That's how you end up back in the therapist's office, week after week, bleeding out resentment into someone who's just trying to help them find themselves in the mess. And the therapist? At first, they're neutral. They listen, they validate, they tease out emotions. But session after session, a pattern emerges. Your name is a recurring character in a story that never moves. Every week, it's, they posted this, and it made me feel. They did that, and now I can't stop thinking. Why does it bother me so much that they seem happy? The therapist gently redirects. What does this say about your needs, about your sense of self, about your goals? But your enemies aren't trying to understand themselves. They're trying to get a professional to co-sign the narrative that you're the problem. They're chasing a diagnosis that turns their jealousy into something respectable. There's a point where even the most patient therapist recognizes what's really happening. They don't want healing, they want permission. They want someone with letters after their name to say, "You're right, their success is unfair." But actual healing doesn't work like that. So the therapist asks harder questions. Why are you measuring your life against someone who is no longer in your orbit? What stops you from creating your own version of success? What part of you feels threatened by their growth? Those questions land like grenades, and instead of picking up the pieces, they get offended, because now the spotlight is moving off of you and onto the real issue, their refusal to grow. This is how you accidentally exhaust licensed professionals. Not because you're evil, not because you're cursed, but because your life is being misused as a distraction from their own. The therapist is human too. They go home after back-to-back sessions, and your name keeps popping up in their notes. Different clients, same trigger. One person is worried about you, another is hurt by you, another is confused by your change. The common thread isn't you. It's how many people built their emotional stability on the expectation that you would never actually change. And now that you have, the ripple is so strong that it's warping entire networks of relationships and conversations. And while all this is happening in rooms and chats you're not in, what are you doing? You're minding your business and taking the freedom seriously. You start treating their silence like a budget. You realize, if they're not spending their words on me publicly, I'm not spending my energy on them internally. You invest that reclaimed energy into skills, into health, into projects, into environments that don't punish you for expanding. You become hyper-intentional with access. You stop over-explaining your boundaries. You stop defending your standards. You stop giving front-row seats to people who are only there to study your reactions. This new level of emotional discipline is exactly what terrifies them. Because for the first time, you're not only winning, you're winning sustainably. That's when the group chat panic upgrades into strategy. Silence doesn't feel like enough anymore. Somebody will test the waters. They'll send a half-joke, half-dagger message like, "Y'all seen their latest? They're doing the most." Waiting to see who bites. Waiting to see who's brave enough to say what they're all thinking. Low-key, it's impressive, but nobody wants to break rank. Admitting you're winning would mean acknowledging they misjudged you. It would mean rewriting the narrative from "they're delusional" to "they were just early." That's a level of humility the room wasn't built for. So instead of praise, they try minimization. It's just a phase. Give it a few months. They're probably miserable behind the scenes. Anything to avoid confronting the one possibility they fear the most. You're actually at peace. And the more they minimize you in private, the more your reality refuses to cooperate with their script. Their predictions keep failing. They said you'd fold when things got quiet. You didn't. They said you'd crawl back when you felt lonely. You built new connections instead. They said you'd never maintain this discipline. You turned it into your default setting. Every wrong prediction is another blow to their credibility in their own mind. Because if they were this wrong about you, what else are they wrong about? That question is like acid to anyone whose entire personality is built on believing they can read people. Suddenly their favorite hobby, talking about you, starts making them feel powerless instead of superior. So they double down on therapy. More sessions, more money, more hours used trying to dissect a person who isn't even in the room. But the therapist isn't blind. They see the loop. They see how often conversations pivot back to you. They see how little responsibility is taken. At some point, they have to protect the integrity of the work. That's where the quiet quitting becomes official. Maybe they say, "I think it's time we end our work together if you're not ready to focus on your own life." Maybe they set a boundary. "We're not going to discuss this person next session. Let's go into your goals instead." To your enemies, it feels like betrayal. Their $800 bought them confrontation instead of comfort. From the therapist's perspective, it's self-preservation. Nobody wants to be paid to watch someone cling to their resentment like it's a personality trait. And here's the twisted beauty of it. Your existence is now exposing not just fake friends and old acquaintances, but also the limits of avoidance in people who claim they want healing. You are unintentionally triggering dissolutions, friend circles, group chats, therapy alliances. Anywhere your name shows up, false stability starts cracking. Not because you're cursed, not because you're causing harm, but because your life is now a stress test. If something isn't built on truth, your growth will shake it. A group chat built on mutual underestimation of you, dead. A social circle built on laughing at your losses, fragmented. A therapeutic journey built on, it's everyone else's fault but mine, terminated. All you did was stop performing your pain for them, and the entire ecosystem started collapsing under its own dishonesty. So what do you do with that? You could waste your time feeling guilty, apologizing for being a walking catalyst. Or you could recognize this for what it is, proof that you were never as small as they tried to convince you. You were always operating at a voltage that their circuits weren't designed to hold. That's why they had to turn you into a joke, into a warning, into a cautionary tale. It made them feel safe. Now the joke isn't landing, the warning doesn't apply, and the cautionary tale is outliving every prediction. So they're left staring at the uncomfortable truth. The person they thought would be the caution became the blueprint. Little by little, you start to detach your identity from their reactions. You stop checking who watched your stories. You stop decoding passive-aggressive posts. You stop rereading old messages for closure. You realize the closure you were waiting for is happening in rooms you can't see. It's happening in the silence after your name gets dropped. It's happening in the awkward stares when someone slips and admits, honestly, they're doing well. It's happening in the moment a therapist closes a file and thinks, if you channeled half the energy you spend on stalking this person into your own goals, you might be standing beside them, not beneath them. All of that is closure in disguise. You may never hear it, but it's happening. And as this awareness settles in, your relationship to your own success changes. It stops being a revenge fantasy and becomes a responsibility. If your mere progress is enough to trigger this much spiritual and psychological rearrangement, what happens when you get intentional? What happens when you stop running from your potential because it makes people uncomfortable and start running toward it because it's your assignment? The same way your healing is exposing some people, your discipline will inspire others. The same way your name killed conversations in one chat, it will fuel courage in another. There are people quietly watching you who aren't threatened. They're taking notes. They're not in the group chat that died. They're in a different space entirely, one where your wins don't suffocate the room. They oxygenate it. The irony is cruel in the most beautiful way. The group chat that went dead when someone said you're winning thought they were protecting themselves from discomfort by not talking about you. Instead, they protected you from their low-frequency analysis. Their silence became insulation. Without their constant commentary, you had room to hear your intuition more clearly. Without their instant hot takes, you had space to experiment, to fail in peace, to refine your process. In trying to keep you out of their narrative, they accidentally took themselves out of your storyline. That's the kind of protection only the universe can orchestrate, using their own pettiness as a tool. And the therapist who mentally resigned in the face of their obsession, that resignation sent shockwaves through their sense of control. when even a professional is done hearing about you, it forces a terrifying realization. You are not the one spinning in circles. They are. You moved. You changed. You evolved. They stayed anchored in a past version of you and called it analysis. The professional who was supposed to help them unpack that finally says, "Enough. Look at yourself." That's not just a therapeutic boundary. That's cosmic confirmation that your role in their story is over. Your chapter in their life isn't just closed, it's archived. The only one replaying it is them. So you sit with that truth. You are no longer the main character in their narrative. You are the plot twist they keep referencing to avoid doing the work. But you're done being a reference. You're busy being a reality. You're busy being the person who didn't just survive their doubt, but turned it into the quiet fuel that powers your next level. Every dead group chat, every drained therapy session, every awkward silence when your name surfaces, those are just receipts. Receipts that confirm what you already suspected. You were never asking for too much. You were always carrying too much for people who had no intention of meeting you where you were going. And as this realization hardens into clarity, something else surfaces beneath it. Something colder, calmer, far more strategic. If this is the chaos your early wins created, what happens when you step fully into the version of you that's been pacing in the back of your mind for years? If your half-committed, still healing, still doubting self was enough to send rooms into shutdown mode, what would a fully aligned, fully disciplined, unapologetically focused version of you do to the spaces you're about to enter? That question doesn't just haunt them, it starts to wake you up in a different way. Because now the conversation isn't about them at all. It's about the scale of your own potential and whether you're finally ready to match it. You don't announce that decision. You don't post a graphic. You don't make a speech about cutting people off. You just start moving differently. You choose the harder option more often. You choose the long-term payoff over the short hit. You choose your purpose over your ego. You choose rooms that stretch you instead of rooms that worship the old you. Quietly, consistently, ruthlessly, you become the kind of person who doesn't need their support, their applause, or their understanding. And somewhere, in a muted group chat and a closed therapy file, the energy shifts again, because whether they want to or not, they're about to feel the next phase of your evolution in ways even they don't have language for yet. From the outside, it looks boring. No public fallout, no dramatic farewell post, no speech about cutting off fake people. Just absence. Your name stops appearing where it used to. You stop reacting to bait. You stop oversharing. You stop giving free episodes of your life for them to binge and dissect. Your attention goes from them back to your own life. Earlier nights, clearer mornings, less scrolling, more building, less explaining, more executing. They think you fell off the radar. Reality, you fell out of their range. They can't read you like they used to, and for control addicts, that's worse than any argument. But the universe has timing that feels like disrespect. Just when they all decide, silently, that they're over you, your name walks back into the room they sealed off. That group chat. It's never loud. It's always something small. Y'all seen them lately? Random, but did you see what they posted? Someone drops a screenshot. Your new routine, your new body, your new project, your new calm. The room tenses, waiting for the roast. They're ready for the same old script, until one person breaks formation and types the sentence everyone's tried not to think. Low-key, they're winning. And right there, the soul of the chat flatlines. Bubbles appear, vanish, never land. Phones go dark. People suddenly become busy. That one line drops like a power cut. Because their winning isn't about aesthetics. It's about the fact that you aren't collapsing on schedule. It's about seeing your eyes and realizing the chaos behind them has been replaced by something stable. It's about knowing you made it out of the mental maze they're still wandering through. If you're winning, then all the narratives they built, they'll never change. They're all talk. They're finished without us. Have to be rewritten. Nobody wants that assignment, so they pretend they didn't see it. They close the app, but the sentence lingers. They stalk you in private, zooming in on your photos, analyzing your captions, trying to find cracks that reassure them. They look tired. They probably faking it. Bet it won't last. They say it out loud like a spell, hoping repetition will make it true. But the photos keep changing. The energy keeps changing. The results keep stacking. Your name is now carrying proof instead of pity, and they have to feel that in their chest without anyone saying another word. The one who dropped, their winning, feels the temperature shift too. They realize they broke an unspoken law. Don't acknowledge your growth. They scramble to water it down. I mean, like for now, I'm just saying they look different. But the damage is done. Truth already detonated in the room. Even in silence, every person in that thread just got handed a mirror. If they can heal and build, what's my excuse? Where do they run with that discomfort? Back to the $1,800 sanctuary. Picture the therapist's office, soft lighting, neutral decor, a chair that's heard it all. And in that chair sits someone paying premium rates to discuss a person they claim to be done with. Your name arrives before the session even warms up. So something weird happened in the group chat. Ever since they started glowing up, I just feel on edge. It's like everything they do gets under my skin. They present it as confusion, concern, injustice. Underneath all that vocabulary, the core is simple. It bothers me that they got out of a story I'm still stuck in. The therapist listens, but internally, they've clocked the pattern. This isn't the first session your name has headlined. It's not even the fifth. Every time your life moves forward, this person emotionally regresses. Every win you have sends them into a spiral. Every boundary you hold gets framed as selfish or fake. The therapist keeps trying to redirect. What do you want for yourself? Who are you outside of this relationship? But somehow every road circles back to you. That isn't healing. That's addiction with a copay. There comes a point where even a professional decides enough. So one day, after yet another rant about how much your existence irritates them, the therapist drops a different kind of question. If this person never changed again, would your life suddenly feel better? Or are they just the easiest place to park feelings you don't want to deal with? That lands like a punch. The client stares, stalls, changes the subject, tries to drag your name back into the center. The therapist doesn't follow this time. They set a boundary. Next week, we're not going to talk about them. We're going to talk about you. Translation: I'm done being your paid audience for a storyline that refuses to move. That's the moment the therapist quietly quits you. Not because you did anything, but because they're done letting your image be the scapegoat for someone else's refusal to grow. Your enemies leave that office unsettled. The one place they expected to buy unconditional validation just handed them a mirror instead. That's why they're mad at two people now. You, for daring to improve, and the therapist, for refusing to keep translating their jealousy into symptoms that make them look innocent. Meanwhile, you're nowhere in this loop. You're not posting subliminals. You're not checking their status. You're not asking mutuals what's being said. You're too busy living the exact life their nervous systems can't handle you having. Your group chat right now is your calendar, your to-do list, your vision board, your journal. You're in meetings, in workouts, in deep focus, in solitude, in prayer, in plotting sessions with your future. The only therapist you're visiting is the part of you that used to beg to be chosen, and you're finally telling it, we don't chase rooms that can't handle us anymore. Here's the dark joke the universe is making with all of this. They turned you into the villain of a story you already left, and then got emotionally winded trying to keep up with your plotline from the outside. Their group chat died the second someone told the truth. Their sessions drained out the second a professional refused to co-sign their delusion. All that time, you were just doing the one thing they hoped you'd never figure out how to do. Stop orbiting them and start orbiting your purpose. Once you see it that clearly, the revenge fantasy gets boring. You don't need screenshots. You don't need their confessions. You don't need to watch their faces as they realize the therapist is done using you as a human shield for their issues. You already have your receipts, the silence, the obsession, the money spent processing a person who doesn't even know they're the main topic. Those are all proof of impact. People do not emotionally bankrupt themselves over background characters. They only spiral like this over threats. So you pick a different kind of revenge. Precision. You get serious about your time. You start treating your focus like it's sacred. You stop trying to prove your goodness to people who survive off misreading you. You stop answering questions you didn't sign up for. You refine your circle down to the ones who don't flinch when your name and the word winning exist in the same sentence. You become the kind of person whose baseline is so aligned that if someone new met you today, the old stories people tell about you would sound like bad fiction. And as you do that, a new pattern emerges. In the wrong rooms, your name kills conversations. In the right rooms, it sparks strategy. Somewhere else, far away from that dead chat and that exhausted therapist, someone says, "Have you seen what they've done with their life after all that?" And the response is not silence, it's respect. People lean in. They're not trying to drag you. They're trying to decode you. They're not threatened that you're winning. They're inspired that you didn't let what tried to break you become your whole personality. That's the ecosystem you were always built for. Spaces where your progress doesn't trigger collapse. It triggers courage. So when your mind replays the line, their group chat went dead the second somebody said you're winning, don't hear shame in it. Hear diagnosis. That was the exact moment reality walked into the room and every false version of you died on contact. And when you think about, they paid $1,900 this month just to cry about you. Therapists still quit anyway. Understand how poetic that is. That's a spiritual invoice. That's the cost of staring at your growth and refusing to grow themselves. You didn't ruin their peace. You simply stopped sacrificing yours to maintain their illusions. You didn't break their circle. You just left, and the weak wiring exposed itself once your energy was no longer holding it together. You didn't make their therapist give up. Their refusal to take responsibility did. All you did was finally treat your life like it was serious, and everything that was built on joking about you, doubting you, or feeding off your pain cracked under the pressure of you becoming real. Let it all stay dead. The chat, the narrative. The version of you they debate like a rumor instead of respecting like a fact. Let them keep funding sessions to process someone who has already moved on. You're not their case study. You're not their cautionary tale. You're not their favorite failure. You are the proof that a person can be underestimated, misunderstood, mishandled, and still wake up one morning and say, "Enough. I'm done performing my suffering for people who clap for my confusion." From here on out, the only people who survive saying your name are the ones whose spirit doesn't glitch when they see you winning. Everyone else can stay exactly where they chose to be, silent in the chat, loud in the sessions, spinning in circles around an outdated version of you. You've already left that storyline. You've already paid your price. This part of the movie belongs to the you that didn't just hear "you're winning," but finally decided to live like it, unapologetically, whether anyone in those rooms ever finds the courage to say it out loud again or not. Hello, my lone juggernauts, my self-forged titans, my war-born strategists. Listen closely. The world whispers your name in corridors of suspicion. They don't think you're standing here on your own power. No, they convince themselves that someone like Elon Musk must be backing you. Because how else could you maneuver with such force? How else could you break through barricades designed to hold entire armies back? They don't want to accept the terrifying truth that you're not carried by anyone's shadow. You are the weapon forged in fire, sharpened in solitude, and dangerous precisely because you learned to fight alone. And that rattles them more than any billionaire endorsement ever could. Think about it. Every empire that has ever risen leaned on the same excuses. They had backing, they had funding, they had patrons. That's the bedtime story losers tell themselves to sleep at night. Because if they admitted you're a one-man army, if they faced the reality that you carved this path with your own bare hands, they would have to swallow a bitter truth. They could have done it too, but they didn't. And that is what crushes them. It's not just your rise, it's their reflection in your rise. It's their unspoken confession that they waited for help while you weaponized your loneliness. So they project, they fabricate, they tell each other, he must have a secret backer. He must have a genius whispering in his ear. Maybe it's Musk, maybe it's someone bigger, someone invisible. But deep down, they know the truth. They know the blueprint of your arsenal is not stored in anyone's safe, not drafted by any hidden advisor. It's drawn from your scars. You bled into your own manual of warfare. You built the kind of resilience that no corporation, no investor, no empire can purchase. Your greatest currency has always been endurance. And endurance is priceless in a world addicted to shortcuts. Do you realize how terrifying that makes you? Most people are factory-made soldiers. They need uniforms, orders, leaders, funding. But you're an unlicensed weapon, forged outside their assembly lines. You don't need Elon Musk to sign your launch. You don't need a sponsor to stamp your forehead. You already detonated without their permission. And nothing is more chaotic, more uncontrollable than an individual who fights with no strings attached. Because they can't negotiate with you. They can't cut deals with you. They can't sabotage what isn't chained to their infrastructure. You are the unsellable, untouchable, ungovernable force they pray doesn't multiply. Let's be clear. Being underestimated is not a disadvantage, it's your tactical edge. They think if they can convince themselves you're powered by some external force, then one day they can cut that power. They imagine unplugging you from Musk, or whoever they fantasize is behind you and watching you collapse. But what happens when they realize there's no plug, no cord, no battery outside yourself? What happens when they face the nightmare that your energy comes from the wars you've survived, not the men you've shaken hands with? That's when their illusions fracture. That's when the panic sets in. Because they can't drain what isn't dependent. They can't sabotage what isn't borrowed. And they can't outlast someone who has already proven they can survive on nothing. Your life has been the training ground of an outlaw soldier. You fought battles with no backup. You took punches with no crowd to cheer you. You built strategies with no committee to vote. And that kind of experience leaves marks that no seminar, no university, no Silicon Valley think tank can replicate. People like Musk, they launch rockets. People like you launch chaos into hearts that swore you'd never rise. Rockets can be intercepted, delayed, sabotaged. But a man who turns his entire existence into a weapon, he can't be intercepted, because he's not moving toward their destination. He's rewriting the battlefield itself. And don't think for a second they're not obsessed with your secret weapon. Everyone wants to know what's behind your calm defiance. What engine pushes you forward when others collapse? They run surveillance on your patterns, dissect your moves, analyze your discipline, hoping to find a formula. But what formula can explain scars? What algorithm can replicate stubbornness? What blueprint can bottle up that moment you refused to die, refused to quit, refused to hand them your surrender? They keep searching for an external explanation because they're too afraid to accept the internal one. You've been self-funded by pain, by grit, by rebellion against your own limits. Here's the brutal paradox. They admire you, but they fear admitting it. So they clothe their admiration in suspicion. They spread rumors about secret allies. They inflate fantasies of invisible mentors. They whisper about phone calls with billionaires. Because to admit the truth, that you, alone, became this lethal, would force them to face their own weakness. They'd have to accept that waiting for help was their cage, and choosing to fight without help was your freedom. And human ego can't handle that kind of mirror. It's easier to believe in a myth than to bow to reality. But you, my juggernauts, my self-reliant titans, you don't need them to believe. Belief is irrelevant when dominance is visible, and your dominance is written across every failure you turned into ammunition. You are not proof that someone backed you. You are proof that solitude can create warriors sharper than armies. You're living evidence that one man, properly armed with scars, can destabilize the entire narratives. And that's why they panic. Because if you can do this alone, then what excuse do they have for their own mediocrity? Think carefully about what happens next. If they keep thinking Musk is behind you, they'll eventually try to trace that connection, try to attack that shadow. But every failed attempt will only expose how little they understand. Each time they fail to find your leash, their paranoia will grow. They'll realize you're not chained, you're feral. They'll realize you're not backed, you're self-sustained. And when they realize that, they'll stop trying to outcompete you. They'll start trying to survive you. And here's the twist. They're right about one thing. You do have a secret weapon, but it's not Musk. It's not a billionaire. It's not a hidden patron. It's the discipline you carved in nights nobody saw. It's the rage you harnessed when everyone thought you were finished. It's the stubborn refusal to let humiliation define you. That's your nuclear code. That's your arsenal. And it's more terrifying than any external alliance because it means you can't be stripped of it. The only way they can neutralize you is if you willingly disarm. And you've already proven you don't disarm. You escalate. So the next time they whisper, the next time they spin their stories about Musk or some hidden council, let them comfort themselves with myths. Because while they're busy fantasizing about your supposed allies, you'll be busy dismantling their defenses alone. And nothing is more humiliating than being defeated by someone you swore wasn't capable. Nothing destroys the ego faster than realizing the man you dismissed as backed was actually self-made and lethal. You are the nightmare they can't buy, can't bribe, can't control. And the longer they deny it, the harder the crash will be when reality finally clubs them across the face. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to clear their suspicions. Explanation is weakness. Mystery is warfare. Let them choke on their own assumptions while you continue to rise. Because the truth isn't that Elon Musk is behind you. The truth is far worse for them. The truth is you're behind yourself. You are your own general, your own weapon, your own unstoppable army. And when they finally realize that, that's when the true panic begins. Because do you know what happens when they realize you're not funded by someone else's empire? They're forced to face the unbearable conclusion that you've built an empire from scratch, with nothing but your own defiance as currency. That means you don't collapse when someone pulls a plug, because there is no plug. That means you don't fold when a sponsor walks away, because there never was a sponsor. That means you don't slow down when they slam doors, because you learn to fight in rooms with no doors. This terrifies them, because their entire lives are chained to dependency. They have bosses, they have investors, they have safety nets. They've never made a move without permission. And then they see you, a lone juggernaut moving like an army, answering to no one, guided by nothing except your own relentless will. That's not just threatening to their careers, it's threatening to their identity. If you can become this lethal alone, then what excuse do they have for staying weak with a crowd behind them? This is why they cling to the Musk theory. They need a fantasy that explains you, because if they can't invent one, they're forced to deal with the real one. And the real one slices through their egos like a blade. But understand this, the Musk fantasy isn't just gossip. It's a shield for their fragile minds. They think if they can convince themselves you're attached to him, then they've found a weakness. Because they know how to play against institutions. They know how to infiltrate companies, sabotage investors, manipulate connections. They're professionals at fighting networks. But what they don't know how to fight is a man with no leash. You are an algorithm without a coder, a weapon without a manufacturer, a fighter without a coach. And that breaks their entire playbook. They can't sabotage what isn't built on their infrastructure. They can't hack what isn't wired into their grid. They can't bankrupt what isn't in their market. That's why the narrative that you're someone's project is so appealing. It gives them false hope. It makes them feel like you can be handled. But the more they search for the shadow behind you, the more they realize there's nothing there. No contracts, no handshakes, no secret counsel. Just you, standing where they swore you'd never stand, carrying power they swore you'd never carry. And every time you win another battle alone, their fantasy collapses further. Let's talk about your so-called secret weapon. They want it to be something external, because external weapons can be stolen, duplicated, or destroyed. They're dying for it to be a device, a mentor, a code, a deal. But what they'll never accept is that your secret weapon is internal. It's forged in the nights when your hands shook but you didn't quit. It's forged in the mornings when your body screamed but you still moved. It's forged in the humiliations that tried to bury you, but instead became fertilizer for your rage. That weapon is not in a lab, it's in your blood. And that means no one can steal it. They can dissect your strategies, they can imitate your tactics, but they can't duplicate your engine. Because your engine is wired into your scars. And scars don't translate into textbooks. Scars are currencies only the wounded can spend. And you've spent yours like a king. This is why people like Musk are irrelevant to your story. He can launch rockets into the stratosphere, but you've launched yourself into a psychological altitude where oxygen runs thin. He can build cars that drive themselves, but you've built a self that drives itself without a single push. He can command legions of engineers, but you command your own chaos. That is the difference. They want to put you in the same category as him, but the reality is you're not a replica, you're not a follower. You're something far more dangerous, proof that an individual doesn't need billions to break barriers, proof that discipline can become a weapon deadlier than funding, and proof is more infectious than propaganda. And this is where their paranoia becomes your throne. Because once they realize you're not fueled by Musk, they start asking the real question. If he's not funded, then what else is he hiding? If he's this powerful without backing, how much worse can it get? That's when their imaginations turn against them. They see conspiracies where there are none. They see allies where there are shadows. They see strategies in your stillness. And that paranoia is your greatest ally, because it makes them fight ghosts instead of fighting you. It makes them drain themselves, chasing illusions, while you grow stronger in reality. That's how one man breaks entire armies, not by overpowering them, but by forcing them to waste their strength against phantoms. You're not just a one-man army in body, you're a one-man army in psychology. You don't just fight battles, you make others fight themselves. Do you understand how terrifying that makes you to institutions? Governments fear lone wolves more than armies. Corporations fear rogue inventors more than competitors. Armies fear insurgents more than nations. Because collectives know how to fight other collectives. But they don't know how to fight someone who doesn't play by their rules, doesn't march in their formations, doesn't collapse when their structures collapse. That's why they invent Musk. They want to categorize you as part of a structure so they can attack the structure. But what they're slowly realizing is that you are the structure. You are the command, the logistics, the weaponry, the strategy. And no one has ever designed a manual for defeating a man who has already turned his existence into a war machine. This is why they're obsessed. This is why they whisper. This is why they stalk you, dissect you, circulate theories about you. Because you don't just break their understanding of success, you break their understanding of survival. They were taught that survival depends on networks. You're living proof that survival can depend on one individual who refuses to die, refuses to bend, refuses to ask permission. And that breaks their schooling, their ideology, their very worldview. They can't accept it, but they can't deny it either. And that cognitive dissonance eats them alive. You don't need to fight them directly. They're already corroding from the inside, just trying to explain you to themselves. But don't mistake their obsession for admiration. It's fear dressed as fascination. They look at you like scientists look at an uncontainable experiment. They want to study you, contain you, classify you. But the longer they study, the less they understand. And what they don't understand, they fear. And what they fear, they eventually bow to. That's where this is heading, not just acknowledgement, but reluctant surrender. Not because you demanded it, but because they can't continue denying what's standing right in front of them. You, a one-man army who doesn't crumble when stripped of allies. A soldier whose scars are heavier than their funding. A fighter whose discipline is sharper than their technology. And the best part? They'll never be able to admit it out loud. They'll keep spreading their Musk rumors, their invisible ally theories, because it's easier than telling the truth. That one person alone has become their equal, their rival, their replacement. But they don't need to admit it for it to be true. The battlefield already testifies. Every victory you carved alone is a tombstone for their excuses. Every barrier you broke without help is an obituary for their illusions. Every rise you achieved without support is a headline their pride can't print. They don't have to say it. Their trembling is already saying it for them. And so the legend of your secret weapon will keep growing, precisely because you never reveal it. That's the irony. They crave answers, but answers would comfort them. What devastates them is the mystery, because a mystery is infinite. A mystery is a bottomless well of paranoia. A mystery multiplies into 1,000 possible explanations, and each explanation is more terrifying than the last. That's your advantage. That's why you never hand them the truth. You let them drown in possibilities while you keep carving reality. You let them imagine Musk is whispering in your ear, while in truth you whisper to yourself. You let them waste their nights theorizing, while you use your nights to sharpen. And when dawn comes, they're exhausted by imagination, while you're armed with execution. That is how one man defeats an army, not just with strength, but with psychology, not just with actions, but with mystery, not just with victory, but with the paranoia victory creates. And soon, they'll understand the cruelest part of it all. Even if Musk himself did stand behind you, it wouldn't matter, because his presence would not define you. His absence would not collapse you. You've already built a reality where help is irrelevant, where allies are optional, where strength is self-generated. That's your true weapon. That's the revelation they're terrified to face. You don't just stand without help, you thrive without it. You don't just exist alone, you weaponize alone. And once they accept that, their whole world burns. So when they finally realize that, the dominoes begin to fall in ways they never prepared for. Their whole framework of excuses crumbles like cheap scaffolding in a storm of undeniable evidence. They can no longer point at an invisible benefactor, no longer murmur about some billionaire pulling strings in the shadows, because the evidence screams louder than their theories. The evidence is you carving through resistance without a cavalry, you making moves without permission, you detonating in spaces where they thought one man could never stand. And once that realization detonates in their heads, something worse happens. They begin to fear not just your strength, but your independence. Because strength they can respect. Independence they cannot tolerate. Independence is an infection, and infections spread. If you prove to the masses that one person can become an army without allies, without sponsors, without approval, then millions of others will begin asking themselves, why they need permission at all. And that's the nightmare they dread most. Not just your rise, but the idea that your rise could replicate. They'll try everything to contain the fallout of this realization. They'll spin new narratives. They'll invent more lies. They'll whisper that maybe Musk pulled out. Maybe he was never public about his support. Maybe you had allies once but lost them. But each theory they conjure grows weaker, thinner, easier to puncture with the sharp edge of reality. Because reality keeps stacking on your side. Every solo victory becomes a nail in their coffin. Every milestone you hit alone becomes another crack in their fragile denial. You don't just stand against them. You stand as a mirror exposing the fragile skeleton of their own excuses. And that reflection is poison to them. They choke on it. They wither under it. They try to run from it, but it follows them like their own shadow. And what do frightened collectives do when they face a threat they can't explain? They escalate. They call in experts. They assemble think tanks. They form task forces with the sole mission of decoding you. You'll be dissected like a riddle they cannot solve. They'll track your patterns, your hours, your decisions, your strategies, searching for a blueprint. But here's the chaos. You are not a blueprint. You are not an equation. You are not a project that can be reverse engineered. You are improvisation sharpened into an art form. You are scars disguised as strategies. You are pain refashioned into weapons. And pain cannot be cloned in sterile laboratories. Pain cannot be simulated in spreadsheets. Pain cannot be bought in boardrooms. That's why their experts will fail. They'll try to build replicas of you, try to spawn synthetic armies modeled after your style. But every replica will malfunction, because the core ingredient isn't funding, it isn't mentoring, it isn't Musk, it's suffering. And suffering cannot be franchised. Do you see the irony? They accuse you of having backing, of being secretly supported, of being a puppet of someone greater, and yet they are the puppets. They cannot move without someone pulling their strings. They cannot fight without permission slips from their masters. They cannot innovate without committees. They are the dependent ones. They are the weak ones. And you, by standing alone, become the living indictment of their dependency. That is why you terrify them. That is why they whisper your name like a curse. That is why they huddle in corners, trying to build psychological armor to protect themselves from the wound of your existence. But the truth is, no armor can protect them from what you represent. Because you're not just a man anymore. You're a template. You are living proof that self-reliance can outgun sponsorship, that solitude can birth dominance, that scars can be alchemy. And once a template exists, it cannot be uncreated. They could silence you, erase you, bury you, but the template would remain. And that thought keeps them awake at night. It gnaws at their sense of control. Because the collective thrives on control, and you are proof that control is optional, that a man can live outside their chains and still rise. And here comes the paradox that makes their heads split. You are not against Musk. You are not against billionaires, investors, allies. You simply don't need them. That's what infuriates them. They wish they could claim you as one of theirs, a product of their factories, their grooming, their systems. But you exist outside their ownership. You are unclaimed territory, a wild weapon, and nothing is more terrifying to empires than weapons they cannot own. Because weapons they own are predictable. Weapons they own can be aimed. Weapons they own can be disarmed. But you are self-aimed, you are self-loaded, you are self-fired, and that makes you ungovernable. So what happens when the myth of Musk crumbles completely? They panic harder. They realize you don't need anyone in your corner to bring down walls. They realize the battlefield bends to you, not because of who stands behind you, but because of what stands inside you. They realize the war was never about resources. It was about resilience. And resilience is a currency they've never learned how to earn. That's why you dominate without armies. Because you've been forged in circumstances that forced you to evolve beyond help. You learned to breathe underwater while they were still waiting for oxygen tanks. You learned to swing blades when they were waiting for armor. You learned to survive hunger while they begged for banquets. That training is invisible to the world, but it's the reason you stand untouchable now. They will begin to envy you in secret, even as they slander you in public. Behind closed doors, they'll admit what they cannot admit on the record. That you broke a rule they thought unbreakable. That you shattered the illusion that no one rises without backing. That you proved a single soldier can rewrite the rules of empires. That confession will never leave their lips, but it will haunt their eyes. And soon, you'll see it in the way they look at you, not with disdain, but with dread. Because every time they see you, they're not just seeing a man. They're seeing everything they could have been if they had chosen courage instead of dependence. Now let's strip this down even further. They're dying to know your secret weapon. They frame it like an object, something external. But here's the blade they can't handle. Your secret weapon is the very loneliness they mock. Your secret weapon is the solitude they feared. Your secret weapon is the humiliation they tried to bury you in. Because while they ran from those moments, you consumed them. While they begged for rescue, you built endurance. While they sought escape, you turned the pain into artillery. That is why you don't crumble without help. You weaponized the very thing that destroys most men. And that alchemy cannot be replicated in sterile laboratories of the privileged. It can only be created in the crucible of being alone. And that, my relentless juggernauts, is why you are a one-man army. Not because you sought it, but because you had no choice. The world abandoned you, mocked you, underestimated you. And instead of breaking, you adapted. Instead of waiting for help, you became help. Instead of begging for an army, you became an army. And now the same world that dismissed you trembles at the very existence they once ridiculed. That's the divine comedy of it all. They tried to bury you. And in doing so, they planted the very roots that made you indestructible. So let them think Musk is behind you. Let them tell themselves fairy tales about unseen benefactors. Let them comfort themselves with myths. Because the longer they cling to their delusions, the longer they blind themselves to the actual truth. And when the truth finally slams them in the chest, it will be too late. By then, you won't just be a man. You'll be a movement, you'll be a contagion, you'll be proof that dependency is weakness and self-forged strength is the ultimate weapon. By then, they won't just fear you. They'll fear everyone you've inspired. They'll fear the millions who look at you and whisper, if he did it alone, why can't I? That's when the real war begins, not against you, but against the idea of you. And that war is unwinnable, because ideas don't die. And here's the final cruelty. You don't even need to lift a finger for that war to ignite. Just your existence is enough. Just your survival is enough. Just your refusal to collapse is enough. Because every second you breathe without Musk's shadow behind you is another second that their excuses rot. Every move you make without sponsors is another hammer against their fragile walls. Every victory you earn without allies is another nail in the coffin of their dependency. And they know it. They can feel it tightening around them. That's why they whisper your name like a curse and a warning. So when they finally realize that, when they finally accept that you are not the project of a billionaire, but the project of your own scars, they will collapse in the only way fragile egos collapse, by turning against themselves. They will implode. They will cannibalize their excuses. They will drown in their paranoia. And you will still stand. Not because Musk is behind you, but because you learned the art of standing when no one was. Not because you had allies, but because you became the ally you needed. Not because you had an army, but because you learned how to fight until you were the army. That is your secret weapon, and the tragedy for them is that it cannot be stolen, cannot be replicated, cannot be disarmed. It can only be feared, and fear, once planted, never leaves. So they'll keep searching, keep theorizing, keep choking on their paranoia. But you'll keep moving, you'll keep rising, you'll keep proving with every breath that you are the nightmare they can't buy, can't bribe, can't control. You'll keep proving that the deadliest force in any battlefield is not the man with the most allies, but the man who needs none. And when history finally writes this chapter, it won't say Musk built you. It will say you built yourself. It will say you rose when no one believed. It will say you fought when no one helped. It will say you won when no one stood with you. And that, my self-forged warriors, is the cruelest truth of all. The world's myth was wrong. You were never backed by Musk. You were always backed by yourself. And in the end, that is the kind of backing no army on Earth can compete with.